In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Singapore Airlines 787 Business Class on my recent flight in March 2025 between Singapore and Saigon, or as it's otherwise known, Ho Chi Minh City. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. Today we are travelling from Singapore Changi Airport to Saigon Tan Son Nhut Airport in a flight just over 1,000 kilometers and nearly 2 hours. Our journey today begins at Singapore Changi Airport Terminal 3. My flight today is actually departing from Terminal 2. However, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the lounges are far superior in Terminal 3, and you can check in at Terminal 3 and then catch the SkyTrain to Terminal 2 for your flight. That's what I did today. Terminal 3 today had taken down its Chinese New Year decorations and instead put up this display to a Dutch cartoon rabbit called Miffy. Not immediately clear why, but I wasn't complaining. Today I set a new record. From handing my boarding pass and passport to the immigration officer, to being through immigration and in the departures area, took the grand total of 47 seconds. Yes, I timed it, I'm that much of a nerd, and that was impressive, even by Changi standards. Having cleared immigration in under a minute, I decided to go to the SilverKris lounge, which is their business class lounge in Terminal 3. I've reviewed this lounge separately on my channel, and a link to the video appears at the end of this one, but for today, I'm going to show you some highlights of my visit on this flight. As usual, I started with a Diet Coke and a sparkling water. First, I went to one of the chef stations and got this Japanese chicken curry. I'll be honest, it doesn't look great, but the taste was exceptional. Just the perfect amount of spice, and the chicken was absolutely delicious. I'm really impressed that this lounge has food to order. Next up, I couldn't not have a bowl of the Singapore laksa. This was made with quail eggs and prawns. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is not the best laksa in Singapore, but it's damn good for a lounge. Finishing up, I indulged my sweet tooth and had some ice cream, some cheese, and some of the cakes in the dessert section. Particular shout out to the pandan cake, which paired perfectly with the ice cream and was really tasty. Anyway, time to leave. I left the lounge and made my way over to the gate, which I mentioned previously is actually in Terminal 2. Thankfully, Singapore Airport offers a SkyTrain that can take you between terminals on the air side. This is a short 2-minute walk from the lounge, and I arrived with the train only 1 minute away. Perfect timing, as I was already cutting it a little bit close on this flight. I think I was enjoying the lounge a bit too much. Somewhat surprisingly, all of the other passengers got in the other carriage. I'm not sure if they knew something I didn't, but I had this carriage entirely to myself. The train between Terminal 3 and Terminal 2 takes about 2 minutes and is very smooth. As you can see here, it wasn't a particularly nice day today, so I was grateful that I didn't have to go outside at all. And just like that, we arrived in Changi Terminal 2, where I made my way over to the gate. Today, my flight was departing from gate F41. However, I did take a minute just to appreciate this display they had. As you can see, there's an LED screen on the roof that makes it appear as though you're in some sort of underwater garden. Credit to Changi for setting this up. They didn't need to, it's purely for aesthetics, but it looked really nice. Before boarding, I snapped a quick shot of a Boeing 787 that is going to take us to Saigon. Security only took a few minutes, and in no time at all, I was boarding the plane. Today, I was sat in seat 12A, which is in their regional business class configuration. Not my favourite seat, but it'll do for a 2-hour flight. I chose this seat because it has a prominent window just to the left. A lot of the other seats have a partially obstructed window, or one that doesn't quite align right with where you're sat, but I'd read before that this was perfect. The configuration today is in a 1-2-1 layout. Credit to Singapore Airlines for not trying to pack in more seats, like British Airways does. The finishings on the seat were modern and fresh, and you've got a personal reading light to the left. The seat controls were controlled by a panel on the right, and you had an electronic remote control which allows you to control the in-flight entertainment without actually touching the screen. I would love to meet the person that designed this seat and just ask them what they were thinking. Because of the 1-2-1 layout, you actually get a reasonable amount of room per seat, and yet They put this ginormous tray table to the right, and the seat itself is actually quite narrow. Look, I get you do get this nice little compartment here, and it has the headphones and some charging points, but I'd have much rather the seat be a little bit wider and the ledge a little bit narrower. Anyway, back to the positive. Thankfully, post-COVID, Singapore Airlines has returned to paper menus. This was my meal today on the left. I didn't choose a main course though, I ordered from the Book for Cook menu, which I'll talk about later. Impressively, for a less than 2 hours flight, a full bar was stocked, including vintage champagne, various white wines, red wines, and even a fortified wine as well. Good job, Singapore Airlines. Because I spent too long in the lounge, I was quite late to board, and barely 15 minutes after I took my seat, we began to push back from the gate, and they began playing their iconic safety video.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. As the safety equipment on this aircraft may differ from that on other aircraft, please give us your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and all our journeys through Singapore.
The headphones in the business class cabin are Singapore Airlines' own branded headphones. They're noise cancelling and are actually quite comfortable, although after 2 hours, they did begin to irritate my ears a little bit. Our taxi to the runway took only about 5 minutes, and very quickly, we were beginning to pull onto the runway to take off. I'll speed this bit up, because I don't want to bore you. I've got to say, once we took off, we saw some of the most amazing takeoff views that I've seen. It was a clear day and the sun was beginning to set, and so we got these absolutely amazing shots out of a window, looking down on Singapore as we did a pull around to head to Vietnam. One of the very cool things about the 787 is that the window shades are electronic rather than manual. You push the button and I don't know what happens chemically, but something changes in the window to dim the light in the cabin. What I like about this is you don't have to choose between fully dimmed or not. You can go for partially dimmed. Barely 10 minutes after takeoff, food was served. It was all served at the same time, starters, main course and dessert. Starter was a smoked salmon and mozzarella salad. Basic, but fine. For main course, I didn't order off a standard menu. I pre-booked my meal using Singapore Airlines Book for Cook feature, which you can do online. I ordered the chicken and lamb satay. Look, this is never going to beat satay cooked on the ground over an open grill, but for an aeroplane, delicious. Dessert was a raspberry chocolate cake. What I loved is that it just didn't have a raspberry sauce, but actually baked the raspberries into the sponge to give it a deep red colour. I'll admit here, it looks like a fairly plain sheet cake, but it was delicious. Also served were 2 slices of Singapore Airlines signature garlic bread. In my view, this is one of the best garlic bread served in the sky, and I always ask for a second slice if I can. Thankfully, they had plenty today, and so had no problem offering it to me. With meal service done, all there was to sit back, relax, and take in these amazing views out of the windows, which thankfully didn't blind me due to the semi-dimmed blinds. Having finished my meal, I popped to the toilets to take a look. As you can see here, they're decorated with flowers, and are actually very spacious. They didn't just have room for the toilet seat, there was also a reasonable amount of room to move around. I was also grateful to see touchless flushing, which is appreciated when you have hundreds of people on a plane. The sink was nicely decorated, and most impressively, they had Penhaligon's toiletries available. Penhaligon's is a high-end London brand, so Singapore really spared no expense in putting these here. Also available should you need them, were all the amenities you can think of. Combs, toothbrushes, shavers, shaving creams. For a 2-hour flight, there is absolutely nothing you would need that is not stocked here. Overall, I've got to say I was impressed. I visited here twice, and both times they were absolutely spotless. The crew popped in periodically to clean them, and so I can see that their efforts really paid off. Overall, no complaints here. About 40 minutes later, the pilot came on the speaker to announce that we were beginning our descent into Vietnam. The sun was setting as we approached Vietnam, and I've got to say, the views look absolutely incredible. There were very few clouds, so you got a really nice view of the ground below you. The approach into the airport takes you direct over the city centre, and so you can see the bustling skyline below you, including the landmark 81 building here, which absolutely dominates the skyline. This is the second tallest building in all of Southeast Asia, and I stayed here during my trip. I've reviewed my stay separately in another video. Check it out. I'll speed up the landing again so as not to bore you. Wow, that was quite a bumpy landing towards the end. I was grateful, but we began our approach to the gate, which didn't take too long at all. Maybe about 5 minutes from when we landed. In typical Singapore Airlines fashion, the doors were opened quickly, and in no time at all, we made our way out into Ho Chi Minh Airport. Just a little tip for Ho Chi Minh Airport. Immigration can take a long time, but there are various services to expedite this. Take advantage if you can. Thanks to these services, I was in my car barely 20 minutes after we landed, making my way to the hotel. Overall, this was an excellent flight. The food and drink were very good, the service, as usual for Singapore Airlines, was exceptional, and the journey was smooth from start to finish. Well, apart from the landing, as you saw in the video, but I meant generally very smooth. It's great to be back in Ho Chi Minh City, and I'll be filming a few videos of various hotel stays I had during this trip. Check them out on my channel in the next few days. The flight was only 2 hours, but it absolutely flew by. Pun very much intended.